Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the moment of truth. Take a good look, if you can. This is what a sellout looks like. If this doesn't turn your stomach, that means you either don't have any scruples or your gut is made of cast iron. A preacher man hustler shaking hands with the devil in the house of God. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made Ebenezer Baptist Church a bastion of morality, but Rafael Warnock has reduced it to a pit of vipers. The white media tells us all about King's I Have a Dream speech and little black boys and black girls playing with little white boys and white girls, but did anyone mention that Joe Biden, as a U.S. Senator, fought against school busing? He didn't want black children anywhere near his white kids. Well, to be honest, considering how Biden's kids turned out from drugs to whatever, he was doing us a favor. But Biden didn't say a word about reparations during his little in-church stump speech. Instead, it was the same old empty hot air about Dr. King wanting everyone to be nice to each other. Oh, and make sure to vote for me next year. I explained to you all just yesterday why the real Dr. King was not some wilting violet who spent his life obsessing over how to get along with white supremacists like Joe Biden. But even if the white media's fraudulent, non-threatening caricature of Dr. King that they've pushed for the last half-century was accurate, Biden flies in the face of even that. And notice that Biden made his little parachute drop into Ebenezer Baptist Church on Dr. King's birthday. Now, the actual federal observation of Dr. King's holiday is supposed to be on Monday. It was supposed to be today, not yesterday, and yet Biden showed up on a Sunday. Why is that? Because he wanted to make sure that he got his day off. He'll go ahead and put in some time on Sunday because he was in the neighborhood, but as for Monday, why, he's got better things to do like sleep in. But we all know why it is that Biden's suddenly infatuated with Georgia. He desperately needs that state if he's going to be able to hold on to the White House. But when he talks to black people there, what's the subject of conversation? Why did he go to Ebenezer Baptist Church? It wasn't to talk about reparations. It wasn't to talk about making sure the police are punished. Instead, it was voting rights. But we all know what that means. First of all, what it means is you Negroes, you need to be voting for me. I ain't doing nothing for you. Just vote for me anyway. You need to focus on that. And we need voting rights for all of these illegal aliens who are here. That way we can go ahead and fast track them to be the new voter base of the Democratic Party so we ain't got to rely on you anymore. He actually went to Dr. King's church and gave a little sermon about black people being made politically irrelevant because that's the reason why he went there. It ain't about doing anything for black people. It's about what black people can do for him. And this is what Rafael Warnock and his congregation chose to be a willing part of. As black people, we have to take a hard-nosed approach to stuff like this. We have to make it excruciatingly clear that we will not allow black churches to be used as just another soapbox for whatever political would-be power broker wants to come along and tell us we need to vote for them. Church is not the place for this kind of thing. But this is what happens over and over again. Seems it's never the wrong time or the wrong place to misuse a black church. Whether it's Barack Obama when he went to Mother Emanuel Church after the massacre there, or Bloomberg when he went to Brown Chapel AME Church in Selma, or Biden at Ebenezer Baptist Church, is always some avalanche of nonsense. Barack, Bloomberg, Biden. Sounds like a slimy law firm, don't it? But these are the lengths that these people are willing to go to prop up the lie that they're on the side of justice, or at least the white media narrative that they're on the side of justice. And as we see, Rafael Warnock promptly sold his soul, not that he had much to sell. This was what he sold his soul for. Allowing the church that he's supposed to be pastor over to be a whorehouse for unrepentant racists like Joe Biden and attempting to lend the good offices of Dr. King to a moral fraud. I have a dream has become I have a scheme. It's sad to see the church that once stood for morality reduced to the plaything of a self-interested political prostitute like Rafael Warnock. It's sad, but it's also all too predictable. This is what the black church has become since the days of men like Dr. King. It's now infested and overrun with street corner punks, bottom-feeding hustlers, and other vultures like Rafael Warnock who are filling the void left by the murder of men like Dr. King. But let's be honest, the blame doesn't just fall on his shoulders. What kind of person willingly allows themselves to be led by a worm like Rafael Warnock? What kind of professed Christian allows themselves to go along with something like this? Apparently the parishioners of Ebenezer Baptist Church, that's who. They allowed themselves to be used as props for Biden's photo op, and we've seen this happen way too many times for anyone to claim that they didn't know about the scam. As far as they were concerned, who cares if Biden is a mouth-frothing racist who has spent his entire adult life voting for and writing laws specifically to attack black people? The black church isn't about God or salvation or even morality anymore. It's a toilet whose members are simply trying to get some attention for themselves. Men like Rafael Warnock are only interested in doing well, not in doing good. This is why church attendance is falling and shows no signs of rebounding. The people of faith who actually believed in what the Bible says, they left the church in disgust a long time ago. And now all that remains are the dregs who have their little clubhouse. Seems that every dusty dude, every thought, and every clout-chasing clown calls the church home, but there's no redemption going on behind those walls. All they're doing now is styling and profiling for each other and inviting crooked politicians to stop by so they can all take a photo op. And by the way, Brown Chapel AME Church was no better. It was at that church where Bloomberg was humiliated by the congregation, but never forget, it was their crooked pastor who let Bloomberg in there in the first place. Now the white media's main talking point about this latest fiasco is that Ebenezer Baptist Church is the church that Dr. King was pastor of. But you know, I don't recall Dr. King ever inviting any politicians to speak at Ebenezer Baptist Church. He certainly didn't invite either President Kennedy or Johnson there. Dr. King instead talked about how they needed to do whatever it took to attain full citizenship for black people. That was the gospel that Dr. King was preaching. Warnock, on the other hand, spends his time advocating for abortion, LGBT issues, illegal aliens to be made citizens. Black people are the farthest thing from his mind. The white media spent a long time manufacturing a phony mythology about Dr. King, which stripped him of the revolutionary activism that he actually espoused. But they had lots of help. People like Warnock gladly went along with the phony white media narrative about Dr. King. No more going to war with white power. No more demanding tangibles for black people. Now it was about ingratiating yourself with the white power structure. Tell them you're the pastor of Dr. King's old church and that for the right price, you'll gladly lease out Ebenezer Baptist Church to be used for photo ops. They take care of you and you'll take care of them. And you can bet that more than a few of the black baby boomers who go there will claim that they knew Dr. King back in the day, or at the very least they met him. Now, for most of them, it's going to be a blatant lie. They never came within spitting distance of Dr. King and never met him. But for the few who may have honestly had some passing contact with Dr. King, clearly they didn't learn anything from him. By the way, speaking of bottom feeders, Keisha Bottoms has popped up again like a bad penny, which is about how much her soul is worth. Apparently she's working for the Biden administration now and has some do-nothing title called White House Senior Advisor for Public Engagement. That means this worthless empty suit who had to quit being Atlanta's mayor to avoid being voted out is now trying to see if she can finesse herself some clout working for Biden. These bootlicks only have one play: suck up to white power, repeat. So we see the same old game is being played, yet another stage-managed production where some administrator of white power tells his hand-picked puppets to clap like trained seals on command, and they'll do it because they have no principles. This is the harsh reality, family. A lot of black people have thrown in their lot with white power. They don't expect anything, and they don't even want anything. When a group of people are oppressed, you can be sure to a large degree it was an inside job, and we're seeing clearly who was working with the oppressors. But we're not fooled. For those of you who wonder why we go ham on the black clergy so often, this is the reason why. They're not advocates for God. They're not even advocates for their own congregants. They're only shameless advocates for themselves. And there's nobody so low, so corrupt, so venal, so racist that these pulpit pimps won't let them use their church as a backdrop and speak lies directly to their congregation. And then the white media will try to paint this blatant perversion with a thin veneer of pious-sounding rhetoric. These approved-of house Negroes get the blessings of the white media, which clearly matters more to them than any blessings from God. Well, if Rafael Warnock is thinking that he's going to profane the memory of Dr. King forever, eventually he's going to find out he doesn't have a prayer. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. Fatis Mokhtar, Cloudwalker Z, Brenda Starr, Roxanne Allen, and Quincy X. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.